December 19th, 1925. An official circular goes out to every branch office in Soviet Kyrgyzstan. Order number 1792. From now on, factories and collective farms are to hire literate workers only. Think about what that means. In a land where, by the state's own count, almost nobody could read, reading just became a condition for employment. Can't read? Then no job. A special commission would screen the workers. The order came from an organization with one of the most honest names in history. It called itself the Society Down with Illiteracy. Its chairman was the head of state of the Soviet Union. This is the story of what happens when an empire declares war on ignorance and reserves the right to define the word. The society was founded in 1923, and it wasn't a charity run from someone's kitchen. Its chairman was Mikhail Lenin, formerly the highest-ranking official in the USSR. Imagine a country's president personally running the National Literacy Club. That's how seriously Moscow took this. And the language was the language of war. The society's newspaper in Turkestan was called the Third Front, as if, after the Civil War's battlefields, ignorance itself was the next enemy line. In March 1926, its leadership ordered the paper to be used actively for propaganda and agitation, with slogans like "Warrior Against Ignorance" and "War for Literacy." Those slogans even became the official name of the society's 2-year teaching plan. Branches opened in every region, every district, every neighborhood. Reading rooms, evening courses, posters on every wall. In Kyrgyzstan alone, the society planned 300 new centers for a single school year. Around Pishpek, today's Bishkek, around Karakol and Narin, Jalalabad, Osh. On paper, it is one of the most impressive education campaigns ever attempted. But there was a catch, and the catch was the whole point. Because here is the question nobody was supposed to ask. Who counts as illiterate? In March 1923, the Communist Party of Turkestan adopted a resolution with a very clear title: Anti-Theological Propaganda. Traditional schools, the ones that had taught this region for centuries, were declared unauthorized and outside the law. In official Soviet vocabulary, they became centers of ignorance. And the people they had educated, reclassified. If you could read and write, but in the Arabic script, you were now officially illiterate. A scholar with a lifetime of books behind him, and a man who had never held a pen, were, in the state's ledger, the same person. If you've seen our first episode, you know where this leads. The alphabet itself would soon be replaced, twice. But notice the order of operations. Before deleting the old writing, the state first deleted the people who could read it. Statistically, the entire population was presumed unlettered, so that education could begin from zero. A blank page, their blank page. The war on ignorance was real, but ignorance had been very carefully defined. So what did the new literacy actually look like? Start with the textbook. The society produced its own primer, written in 1926. Its title, Our Strength, Our Field. Schools received written instructions. Hang the alphabet table from this book on the wall. Use it as your teaching material. And printed at the top of the opening page, a sentence from Lenin, telling peasant readers their old way of life was no longer possible. Lenin had said it plainly years earlier. An illiterate person stands outside politics. First, he must be taught the alphabet. Without it, he said, there are only rumors and fairy tales, but no politics. Read that sentence twice. Literacy wasn't the goal. Politics was the goal. Literacy was the doorway. Moscow's Central Political Education Commission paid every bill of the campaign in Kyrgyzstan and shipped in the curriculum 23 approved textbooks for the countryside: how to harvest, how to handle tractors and electricity, beekeeping, farm credit, practical books, modern books, and on the same list, sent into an almost entirely Muslim region, a manual on pig farming. Whether anyone paused to ask how that would land in a Kyrgyz village, the archive does not say. Every campaign needs soldiers. This one needed teachers, and there were almost none. In the 4 years before 1924, 6-month crash courses had produced exactly 94 Kyrgyz teachers for an entire country. So in October 1925, in Pishpek, the state opened the Kyrgyz Institute of Education, the first real teacher training institution in Kyrgyzstan's history. The staff, 13 educators, 12 men, 1 woman, but it's the students I want you to see. 140 of them, all from local communities, all living in dormitories. The archive preserves their records, and the records are quietly devastating. Some were 12, 13 years old, and of those 140 children and teenagers, 51 were full orphans. Another 36 had lost one parent. Civil war, famine, upheaval. This was the generation left behind, and the state gathered them into one building to become the new nation's teachers. It worked in ways nobody could have predicted. From these classrooms came names Kyrgyzstan still knows: composers, writers, artists who would build the republic's modern culture. And for the most promising, there was one more step: a trip to Moscow. In the summer of 1926, 50 Kyrgyz teachers who spoke no Russian were taken on a special tour, officially to improve their professional skills, in practice to return home as carriers of the new ideology. The state didn't just need teachers, it needed believers, because by now, something strange had happened to this literacy campaign. Step inside a school in Pishpek in 1925 and look around. In the corner, a shrine. They called it the Lenin Corner. His portrait, his sayings, arranged like icons. Schools organized mourning nights on the anniversary of his death, in cities and villages alike. Teachers attended mandatory weekly sessions, following a curriculum with a remarkable name, the Lenin Complex, a standing program on who Lenin was and on how students should be made to accept him. Children joined the pioneers, older ones the Komsomol. The reading primer opened with Lenin's words. The teacher training revolved around Lenin's life. Whatever this was, it had left education behind somewhere. A catechism, a conversion, taught one alphabet lesson at a time. So did the war on ignorance work? Yes, and that's exactly what makes it uncomfortable. Real people genuinely learned to read in those 300 centers, and reading changed their lives. The teachers trained in that institute genuinely built a nation's intelligentsia. Within a generation, a land of empty statistics became one of near-universal literacy. All of that is true. And so is this. The campaign began by declaring everyone ignorant, made reading a condition for bread, chose every book, and wrapped the whole thing around the image of one man. They didn't just teach people to read, they decided what reading was for. This episode is based on my own peer-reviewed research in the Central State Archive of Kyrgyzstan. The documents, the numbers, order 1792 itself. Full citations are in the description. I'm Manifesto. This channel digs through what empires tried to delete. Episode 1 told you how they changed the alphabet. This was how they taught it. Subscribe, because next we follow the teachers.